All right. So you want to talk about explainers? This is something that you talk about regularly. So throw it out there.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like when you are like going through, and I think this question will probably actually end up like helping us here, but when you are going through the sales cycle, you want to be able to explain things crisp and very clearly. And so obviously you can do that via email, but one of the things that you want to do is use video to explain a conversation you had or even a proposal. So one of the things that you've heard me talk about this a lot is the proposal, right? We'll use proposal, for example. The proposal is not for the person you're talking to, it's for the person that you have not spoken to. So when you're doing a video proposal, if you haven't done this before, I have like on the bottom right, it's me walking through the proposal and providing context, because sometimes I may not be able to meet the final decision maker in that C-suite. They may be too busy or whatever's going on. So if I'm able to do a video to articulate exactly what is in that proposal, then now more people are going to engage with me. Now, I'm curious if you all have tried this before, let us know in the chat. But if you have not tried this before and you think it's a good idea, go out there and actually do what I'm talking about. This is how I've closed a lot of big accounts at my time here. And that's what will allow you to actually break through the noise. And it's not just for proposals, it's for anything. You can use it to explain a bit of the product that maybe somebody missed. You can use it to explain the conversation you just had with that prospect, and maybe they want to hand it off to that decision maker. Use videos to explain things so they can see your personality and they can see you as a human, right? At the end of the day, which is key, because you may not be able to have those face-to-face meetings. So just keep that as a context point.
Hold people accountable for what they say to you. I know that this seems like you're being aggressive, and I know that it feels awkward if you've never done it before. But when you get good at doing this, people will have to make good on the things that they say to you on your initial cold calls, on your scheduled calls. Because here's what happens. You've been there. I've been there. We've all been there, especially people that sell a product. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you sell a service, a 2 in the chat if you sell a product. It might be a combo. Give me a 3 if it's a combo, if it's a product that comes with a service.
Yep.
That's possible too. Yo, this is nice right here. We got a lot of fire flowing through the chat.
We got all the numbers here.
Good numbers. Good number. A lot of 3s. So it's interesting, right? Every time you demo a product, there's moments that you're capturing where there's a lot of interest. That's a great thing. The downside is when you get that next step, whoop, it tends to fall off. So when you're reaching out to somebody to follow up, touch in, check in, touch base, all the things that we tell you not to say, the thing that you want to say is, last time we spoke, and you can say this literally, I'm putting like air quotes around this. This is your language. Last time we spoke, we were supposed to do X. That's what you told me. Is there an update? This is a small message. It doesn't require a single scroll on their iPhone. It makes them accountable for what they told you they were going to do. And it puts you in a position of authority when it comes to where the deal is driving, where it's going. And you need to be in that position. What are your thoughts on that, Morgan?
Yeah, no, I think you always, like, as the sales rep, you always have to be the driver and the guide, right? Like, and because at the end of the day, what I tell people is, if you let the prospect take the wheel, you might crash. It's like,
there ain't no Jesus take the wheel.
You might crash. You might hurt yourself. You're gonna be in the hospital. Like, yo, how'd I lose this deal?
Taylor Swift is not happy about this conversation.
Yeah. So you really have to take a step back and continuously find the ways to be the driver and to be the guide, because you don't want that prospect to take the wheel, because they don't. Here's something that's like really important. Some of you probably know this, but most of you, maybe this is like a different way of thinking about this. You as a seller are essentially the subject matter expert and have the most insight on how to sell the product and the market, because the buyer is only buying probably your solution once or maybe twice a year, and you're selling it probably 5 to 10 times a day.
Oh,
right.
Easy.
So the thing is that you have to think about that perspective, is that you are the guide and you are the subject matter expert in this category, because you're selling it every single day. These people only buy once or twice. So just keep that perspective. And yes, there's a difference when there's like experienced buyers, and like that's a little bit different. But for the most part, like one or 2 times a year versus you're doing that 5 to 10 times a day selling. So just keep that in comparison, and that should give you some insights there.
When you say, how do I keep the pressure on? I can assure you that if you're putting pressure on prospects, you're doing it wrong. You're chasing people away from you. And the reason why is because, and this is going to probably ruffle a lot of feathers, feel free to throw stones at me. Whatever. A lot of stones thrown at me in my past. I'm cool with it. None of you have ever sold anything ever. That's true. What you've done, top performers in the room, people that sell well, what you've done is you've provided enough value and enough of a path to where that customer, that prospect checked the box and said, yes, I will buy from you. Whether you built enough trust, provided enough immediate need value, solved a problem quickly and efficiently, whether you're beat some competitor on price is irrelevant. You provided enough that that person decided to buy from you. So if you're putting pressure on people, think about how that makes you feel when pressure is put on you and ask yourself, what am I doing to my prospects if I'm feeling this way about other people putting pressure on me? It's not a good loop to get caught in, because the job of sales is not to convince or persuade. It's to sell what we have to people that need it.
Yeah, no, I love that answer. And also as well, when you think about putting the pressure on and getting the deal done, typically like the more of that you're putting in that pressure and you don't have anything to have contextual pressure on, it doesn't go anywhere, right? You have to have like actual like insights and context to do that. I've mentioned this question tons of times, and if you heard it before, you can be like, okay, Morgan, we've heard this before. But the thing is that like this question I'm gonna recommend to you all to ask will allow you to then define how you can put pressure on. And when I tell you what the question is, I'd encourage you to write it down and actually use it, because this will answer your question. Also as well, and me saying this question, it should give you some insight on how you can be thinking about this moving forward. So one of the questions I like to ask in the sales cycle is, hey, what happens if we don't make this decision? Or what happens if you don't make this decision, right? So that type of question answers the question you had, is how do you keep the pressure on? Well, in order for me to keep the pressure on, I have to know it's important to you. So typically, if you're going to sell something, if you go ask the last 10 people that have closed the deal with you, and you ask them, hey, based on what you bought here, did that have to do anything with your first or second priority or obstacle that you were dealing with right now? The answer would most likely be yes, because people are probably going to buy something for their fifth priority. It's not on their radar. It's not on their mind. So if you ask, hey, like, what happens if you don't make this decision? Then you can get a real answer on like, hey, if I don't make the decision, like I might get fired. Like, I might have to like reduce budget, headcount, whatever that is. Right. So that's why I asked that question, because then I could put pressure on that answer. Now, if the answer is like nothing, then at least I know I need to do some more work for discovery to figure out where to go from there.
All right, cool. Let's get back to it. So I'm going to give you a tactic here that makes a lot of sense for people, even if you've never thought of it this way. You've probably understood, maybe like in your experience, you picked up on it, but this one is one that might have you feeling a little strange at first. You don't have to be hyper responsive early in the deal. When you're in the qualification and the discovery phase, being hyper responsive puts you in a position of looking and appearing very needy. You're chasing, you're after that deal. You want it. You're going to get your cardio up to get it. Like that's how it makes you feel. The time to turn on the juice is when the paperwork starts. When they start asking you for things, that's when you become hyper responsive. Send me that quote. Send me that SOW, that statement of work. Send me that quick contract so we can review it with legal. When these start coming in, this is when you want to be Johnny on the spot, or Sally on the spot, I guess. Right? When all the genders, right? we want to make sure. But this stuff right here is the type of stuff that makes people feel like you've got it dialed in. It's also not in your best interest to have that appearance like you're chasing a deal, because you want them to know that you really want their business, but you don't need it. You're not going to go chase them. You're not going to belittle yourself or sell yourself short or become an annoying sales rep to go get it.
Yeah.
So wait until you've built enough rapport, provided enough value, and they've started asking you for things to become that hyper responsive seller that we can all be. We can all be that. We can turn on that juice when we're ready to kick it on. So let's make sure that you leverage that tactic. Discovery, qualification phases, chill out, man. Don't go crazy. It's okay. Take your time. Do it right instead of fast. But when the paperwork starts, fast is good.
Love it.
All right. So here's something that I think is an important tactic for you to take away from this that most people don't think about early in the process. As you get deeper into conversation in the discovery and the call and all that, start talking about their buying process. Have them explain it to you step by step. If they don't know it, it's a good chance they can't be your champion. Even if they wanted to be, they probably can't be if they don't know how they buy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But when you say, tell me about your buying process, you know all the hoops you're going to have to jump through, all the processes you're going to have to go through, all the departments this will have to flow through at the company, all the heads involved in the decision. You probably get that if they're explaining their buying process. If you then say, thank you for that information, let me tell you how we sell stuff, then you're explaining to them, and setting expectations is one of those things like discovery that keeps going throughout our sales cycle. Managing expectations exists from start to finish in the sales cycle. Discovery, start to finish in the sales cycle. Getting the buying process, explaining your selling process, these are 2 steps to your early conversations that will set you up for success when you're pulling those deals over the finish line.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Every decision maker knows their buying process, every single one of them. And if they can't tell you that buying process, I promise you're going to have a hard time getting that deal over the finish line. You're going to struggle. Do you grasp for discounts?
No, I mean, I'm not trying to do that. But so one of the things that you can do is, I've done this before, and again, it is a true Hail Mary. And let's clarify. Like, Hail Mary is like, you throw out the ball, let's see what happens, right? So again, don't like take this is like the end all be all. One is, I like sending videos to everybody. I like sending one video to everybody in the sales cycle. And I'll like do the subject line, like, you could literally do the subject line Hail Mary. It could be like last chance. And you could make a video addressing everything up to that point. Now, this is probably gonna be your longer video. It's probably gonna be like a 4 or 5, 6 minute long video, right? And like, but you just are like, I've just got my last chance here. So you just talk about what you've learned so far, where you believe you can help, how you can help each person in the sales cycle, and see what you can do from there. And I CC every single person that's been in the sales cycle. That right there is very, very aggressive in terms of a Hail Mary. However, I found that to be really helpful. And then I already told you about the other one is this still accurate? I use that one a lot when the close date has changed. I say, hey, is all this still accurate? You wanted to close on this date. Here's what we uncovered. Here's what we learned. This is what you wanted to do. Da, 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 da. I do that as well. So those are like my 2 examples. The video example, that again, you have to just be, you just gotta be brave and be like, hey, I'm just gonna do this. That's a little bit different, but it is one of my favorite ones to do.
I am gonna steal a Meg Holsinger gem right here.
Yeah.
This Hail Mary has a big success rate. I think it's in the 70% range.
Wow. Okay.
That's the closed lost method. You already know.
Oh, that one? Okay. Talk about it.
Okay, so Meg Holsinger has quite a grip on like human reaction and like what happens in the brain when we receive certain types of messages.
Yeah.
So this is the email that I think she sends. Hi, first name, right? Remember, you're deep in. You're waiting for this close and it hasn't come yet. I want to let you know that I set our opportunity to close the lost. Let me know if anything changes. That's it.
It's a bold move.
It not only is it bold, but most of the time people will come back to her. And when they do, it goes so fast. They're almost apologetic from what I understand.
Yeah.
Meg Holsinger, probably one of the best customer success directors I've ever met. Use this technique. This technique matters because it puts you in a position of power.
Yep.
And it puts people in a position where they feel like they've done you wrong.
Yep.
Like they let you down, like they dropped their ball. And that is a different feeling for them than what they usually experience from frontline sellers. It's okay to sacrifice a deal that's not moving through your sales cycle.
Yeah.
You don't want those deals on your forecast anyway, because then you're just inflating your numbers. So instead, let them know. I reached out 3 times and I didn't hear back. I want to let you know. I set our deal to close lost. Let me know if anything changes. Thanks for all the good times.
Yep.
And then move on with your day. 70% of the time, apparently, this works. And I want to hear from you if it does work for you. So let me know. I want to hear that.